places you are reaching us from around the world. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. Today we'll be starting off as usual from newspapers, of course, looking through all that we have from our desk this morning. And right after that will be our main conversation also. Please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find and reach us at Enterprise TV7 from all our social media platforms, and equally log on to our website at enterprisetvnews.com. I am honored to have with me today via Zoom John Ekerile. He is a public affairs and analyst and is joining us from Saitama in Japan. Good morning to you, John, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much for your time, as always. Now, let's start off this great morning with the first daily on our desk, coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. And on the very top strip here, we have NSCIA to federal government implement policies that will alleviate poverty. And also on the very bottom here, we have Damagung can be removed until December. But our talking points for this morning, I would love to talk about 1.4 trillion naira unsold goods recorded in 2024, and it's coming from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And what this means from the right that we have here is that Nigeria is slowly but surely headed towards hyperinflation. John, speak to us on this particular matter.
Thank you very much for having me. I think for me, it's always good for us to have statistics like this. And what those things do for us is that they help us to check ourselves and look if we're having a good standing or not. And if that is coming from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, that shows to you that our production, would have to, there'll be a stop to it. Because there's no point in you producing and you're not selling. And so if, unsold goods can get to 1 trillion naira. So imagine if that goods have been sold. It means that 1 trillion naira have come into the economy. So so do you know what 1 trillion naira would do to our economy? Do you know what it will do, to productivity? Do you know what it will do to livelihood? Do you know what it will do to the buying power of people? And so these are the things that we need to sit down and look at, because all of these things have a way of affecting, different strata of our daily lives as a people. And so for me, it's a cause for concern. And I think this present administration should look at how they can, help these people in this regard to see what are the challenges, why are people not selling? And it will always go back to the fact that inflation, is on the increase. And that is something I used to buy for about 1,000 naira is now going for 5,000 naira. Then you can ask yourself, how much is your own wage? How much are you even earning as a person? And so that will, drastically affect your buying power. And once your buying power is affected, it affects productivity. And if you affect productivity, it means that your economy is going to slow down. And so that is what we are seeing. And so there is, for every problem, there are solutions. And I think for me, one of the solutions is to see ways of bringing down inflation. And once inflation, is reduced to a single digit, I can say to you that the economy, will bounce back stronger and better.
Yes, but Mr. John, you will agree with me that bringing down inflation is no a magic wand. You can't just wish that and it will happen. It means that fuel has to go back to 200 naira, which we know practically is not possible. It means that the dollar to naira has to go back to 750 naira like it was before this administration came into power. So saying that bringing down inflation would make this better, how do you think it's even possible when we know that realistically we might not get there anytime soon?
I think the first thing is let's look at the amount of money we spend on frivolities as a nation. There are too many things that we don't need that we spend money on. We are just like, the bride whose closet is filled with so many clothes and jewelries and bags. And yet they keep buying more just for the sake of buying, not because it's needed. And so that is who we are. So I think in that regard, the cost of governance should be drastically reduced. The cost of wastages should be drastically reduced. Accountability and transparency. You can't tell me that you inject money into the economy. I know where this money is going into, and you keep pumping money into the economy. Then the question is, are people being held accountable? If you have said that we have apportioned, about 300 billion naira for the construction of a factory, is that factory being constructed? If you're a senator that have been given 600 million naira for constituency project, how many of those projects have you executed? These are questions that should be asked. And so we don't ask questions and then we expect a miracle from anywhere. It does not happen. All of these actions, add up. There are little bit of actions at different corners that bring up the economy. So let's take, for instance, somebody who's doing a POS business. A POS business is in the informal sector, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even accounted for in the data that you have there. But a POS operator can employ 1 or 2 people who work with them and they get salaries. Now, these are people in the informal sector, and I can say to you, there are millions of people like that. And so for me, what are the policies that we need to look into? Number one, how can we subsidize transportation? Because that, for me, is something that is taking about 40 to 50% of the cost of the earnings of people right now. If that is settled, the next one is food inflation. And I said it for people that wants to listen, that Nigeria must grow ourselves to a stage of self-sufficiency in terms of food production. For God's sake, we have vast arable land. My brother, there's no country in the world that has the kind of land mass that Nigeria has. And this land, is so blessed that we can plant all kinds of crops all across the length and breadth of the country all year round. Nigeria can have all year round farming. And so what are those things that have, stopped us from achieving food security? These are things that the government should, face those things head on. And one of them is insecurity. Now, before now, we have been talking about insecurity. Has it gotten to this stage now? No. Don't forget that before now, we used to have Anchors Borrowers program. And then it's on record that over 1 million farmers, are empowered. My brother, how can you empower over 1 million farmers in the country? And you have 1 million farmers. Do you know how many land would have been cultivated? Do you know what that would do for you in terms of food production? And so it shows the insincerity of people just churning out numbers and digits for the sake of churning it out. So I think at this point in time, we must be serious, look at those issues on ground, tackle them head on, and let all governors go back to their state and start developing their state and their region. By so doing, every state has a particular crop of food that they can produce, and then we can start exchanging food across different regions. Enough of being docile and not doing anything and waiting for FAC allocation to come from the federal. I think at this point in time, all state governors need to go back to their state and start doing all of these things, because all of these things, come together to make sure that, yes, we are self-sufficient in terms of food production. And if we are self-sufficient in food production, it means that our export capacity to other West African countries, will be activated. Once that is activated, we can now, start dominating Africa as a whole. That, for me, you are producing jobs, you are creating a better economy. And that inflation you're talking about will come down, because food inflation and transport inflation are the two, very coded factors that have given us hyperinflation in this country. And those can be addressed.
Yeah, very, very well said. When you talked about food security, it begs the question if we can ever achieve that again, knowing that the CFA is far more influential than the Naira. So most of our Nigerian farmers now prefer to rather sell their produce to neighboring countries so that they can get CFAs, which of course is better and bigger than Naira. So how that will help us achieve food security is a very big problem. But let's take a look at health for a bit. FCT doctors embark on strike over 7 months unpaid salary. Now, I am very particular about this story because it is happening in the FCT. Let's not forget, a couple of months back, Nyesom Wike allocated 10 billion naira to 4 senators in Nigeria to cover for their rent and furnitures. But right here we have it in the FCT. Doctors have not been paid for 7 months. Speak to us, please.
When we talk about these things, now you are seeing some of those little inactions and the effect it have on the people. Let me tell you, is there sense in you not paying your doctors for over 7 months? 7 months. So what do you expect them to eat? How do you expect them to, to service their family? These are family members. These are family men. And family women, they have parents, they have children, they have siblings that they know that they will take care. Now, if you're not paying their salary for 7 months, is that not a way of encouraging corruption? Because how do you want them to feed? And so then when I say to you that we have a set of leaders who do not just use their common sense in my own regard. Because how can you take out some essentials? Food for me is essential. Health is essential. And that's why if you go to what they tell you, health for them, health insurance and life is something that they don't play with. And so for me, your doctors that will save life, if there's an emergency, these are the frontliners that will respond to these cases. Paying like them, where is the motivation for a doctor to perform surgery on another patient who had an accident? So these are things that I said to you that they have a way of robbing off on people. Now, doctor is not being paid their salary for 7 months. Do you know what you have done to the psyche and the psychology of that kind of doctor? You have messed him up. You have not made him feel like a man even in his own house. And now when that kind of doctor goes to build his own private hospital, you bring up policies to go against such. So for me, right thing must be done at the right time. Salaries of work should be paid. At the same time, salaries should also be tied to productivity. Because I've seen in Nigeria that some people, they say to you that they are local government officers, they are local government workers, they are civil servants, and they don't do anything in the offices, and they get salaries. So at this point in time, salaries must also be tied to productivity. What is it that you have done for the country for you to earn a salary? So these are some of the things that we need to look at. But for me, health practitioners, security personnel, these are people that should not be owed a dime. And the thing is, guess what?
Yes.
No senator is being owed their salary. Not even a councillor is being owed their salary. There is money to pay senators, but there's no money to pay doctors. You know why? Because the so-called senators and the leaders that you have elected will not go to your normal hospital. They get into the airplane and they fly outside. And that's why they will not pay doctors for 7 months, because they don't use that hospital. And that's why there should be a law that for you to be a public servant in Nigeria, you must attend public institutions. You must use public hospitals. If you are sick, they take you to general hospital in Gogalada, and if there's no injection for you, you will understand that as a minister, then you ask your CMD, how come the budget for your unit is not being expended? What has happened to the money that has been given to you, for the Ministry of Health? And these are questions that we should be asking. And I said to you before, it's because we are a people that we don't ask questions and we are not accountable. That is the bane of our problem. Until we start being accountable, then we can say we are doing well. Wike is doing roads in Abuja. Is opening up the interland. That is fantastic. But this one is more important than the roads. Okay? It's only when somebody is alive that they can apply the road. Pay them their salary and let them have fun.
Yeah, it's very, very true. It's so sad because internationally, the United Nations made it, or the World Health Organization actually said that the doctor-to-patient ratio is ordinarily supposed to be 1 doctor to about 40, 1 doctor to 40. Patients. But in Nigeria, it is 1 doctor right now to 2,000 patients. So that is how bad the situation is. But let's get a look at the Guardian newspaper for this morning, and let's go straight to our talking point. 50% tariff hike insufficient, say telcos amid pushback by subscribers. Speak to us on this matter. But I'd love you to say this with respect to what is it like in Japan. What is it like? The data and call, what is it like there?
So the thing is this, before we even look at Japan, as a case study, for me, there are KPIs that, influence pricing. And so if you're a private entity, you're a private company or a telco, and you know how much providing electricity alone for your mass costs you on a daily basis, you know the amount now they buy diesel, you know the price of fuel right now. And so, do you know that also inflates, affect their own yearly budget? Do you understand? And in that regard, it shows that the hike in price is justifiable. Why? Because they are adjusting their parameters to the present day reality of today's administration. And so, for me, if you are saying telcos are doing too far, let's be realistic to ourselves. How much was petrol per liter before this administration? How much is petrol per liter now? Are they not still using petrol, to power their plants, or diesel? So it means that they feel that direct, and they are saying to you, this service at this rate, and if we must give you this service at this rate, something must give way. Now, on the other hand, is the place of the government to cushion that effect. And I've said that to you, that a country that lacks the index of ease of doing business is not ready to be in business. So Nigeria as a country, we do not have, check it yourself, what is our ease of doing business, and what's our index? So we are not there. And so the other businesses will also come back to you to give you price hike. It's not only the telcos that are giving you price hike. Even your PHCN have given you, price hike. The gencos and the telcos are saying there's a price hike. Why? Because they are adjusting their parameters to the present reality. And I think now, if that is being affected, it means that there will be the hike in cost of data, right? And all of these things will still come back to some of the indicators that help them deliver good services to you. Because it will not be nice for you to pay a fee and you're not getting that service. Although most Nigerians complain about that. And I think this is another medium to say to the telcos, your customer service delivery to Nigerians, it is poor and it should be amended. If you are charging people for a particular service, make sure that you give them good services uninterrupted. Do you understand? And when you are not able to deliver those services to them, come out and apologize to Nigerians, because they are the service, they are the one use services and they pay for it. And because they pay for it, they demand such apology and transparency in terms of communication to them, what has happened and why you're able to decide your duties. Having said that, if you are going to Japan, Japan is a place where there is 24 hours electricity. Do you understand? 24 hours power supply. And so that, affected productivity in a large way. Now, there are also other companies, and there's good competition in the market. So if you think this company is not doing well for yourself, you can move to the other, the ease of going to another company is better. And for a fact, you don't even need to buy another SIM. On the same SIM where you have, let's say for example, you buy an MTN SIM.
Yes.
If you are tired of MTN as a SIM and you want to move to Airtel, you can still keep that number. You can still keep that SIM. You only need to change, the service provider.
So without necessarily moving to another host.
No, without necessarily moving. So if I'm on a particular network now and I feel I don't like the services, I can give them a month notice that I want to move to another network. I can move to another network. They give me a document to move my number, to other network. It's the same phone number, but now I'm on a different network. Do you understand?
But so interestingly, most of the technology we use here are not technology we built ourselves. Are technology that came from places like Japan, from China, from UK, and so on. Why is it then difficult for us to, since it's the same technology, why is it difficult for us to have same sort of service and everything that comes with it in Nigeria?
It is the Nigerianness, and that's what they say in Nigeria never happened to you. A business that will work in China will come to Nigeria. When Nigeria happened to that business, it turns to something else. And then don't you ask yourself that we are in a country where we don't have refineries before. The ones we have are not working. They've been redundant for over the years. We keep expending money in a yearly manner. Budget upon budgets, money is being released, maintenance and refurbishment of refineries, and nothing is working. And yet we have a man build a refinery now to supply crude. We say we don't have crude for that refinery. It's something that the more you look in Nigeria, the less you see. And I think going forward, everybody should look at it that these are business people. They have come in to make profit. But in the place of making profit also, let's not take away the present day reality and hardship that they face in rendering those services to us. And what the government should do at this point in time is to stand as a bridge between the people and the service providers. What are those things that necessitate your hike in price? What can we as a government do to help you, pushing that effect and bring down that price? These are some of the things that I think the government can do to make sure that that price hike in price is not, at the detriment of Nigerians. But however, let me also remind you that Mr. President told all of us that slow down the economy, increase your tax net, and reduce the buying power of people. And these are the things that we are seeing as at a point. Is a promise well kept. And so let's keep moving on.
Let's keep moving on. And this is just to remind me, because you talked about businesses that work in places like Japan, and when you come to Nigeria happens to such businesses. Just yesterday, we learned of the resignation of Globalcom CEO Ahmad Farouk, who resigned after just 1 month amid what they call the governance challenges. And who knows, maybe it boiled down to what you were talking about. He is trying to bring in into the company innovative things that would make it work. But of course, the Nigeria in us has found a way to make him, not interested in the business. Don't you think so?
You know what is really funny is the fact that we have built a country where once you want to do something that is right, it is seen as abnormal. Doing things that are wrong is a norm. And so once they see one person who is saying, let's do it the right way, let's toe this line, they see you as a black sheep, like, where is this person from? Are you not in the same Nigeria with us? And so that is what should change. And I would say to you that corruption, has watered down not only from leadership, even now to the grassroots and to everybody. And now it's a survivor of the fittest, a survivor of the smartest. And if you ask them, why are you doing this? They ask you, what about our senators? Are they not bigger fraudsters? Have they not looted our money? Who do you see behind bars? And I think those are the things I would like to see from this administration. There are people who have been found wanting, either they are in the political party or opposition party. They should be made to face the true wrath of the law and be served as example to other people so that we can learn. Because in the same country called Nigeria, somebody was given palliative to share to people as a representative of the people. They gave those palliatives to you in trust. You concealed those palliatives, converted them into your own birthday souvenirs, and you shared it in the same Nigeria, and nothing happened. That is the abnormality that we are saying to you. And if you look at it, that person has been given a higher portfolio to say, well done, good servant. And so what message do you send to the people? Do you understand? And that's why I said to you that we lack inspirational leadership.
Very, very well said. We can't, like I often say, we can't overstate, some of these things because they are practical reality amongst us. And though we have been told by one of the officials of the government that we should stop saying, let Nigeria not happen to you. Just like an ostrich that hides his head under the sand, while the larger part of the body is exposed, in the open, unfortunately. Thank you so very much.
What about those that have happened to? What will you say to them?
Very true. Very so true. Thank you so very much, John Akerele, for being part of our show today. We truly do appreciate you once more.
Thank you for having me. And God bless
just
Nigeria.
to let you know that he will be around to take us on our main conversation, but that is when we return. Jubilation in Enugu as Ekweremadu's wife returns from the UK prison. That in a bit. Still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go anywhere.